In today's video, I want to introduce you to a new feature that we're very excited about here in CabWriter land. Starting with CabWriter version 0.8.9, which just came out in mid-October, we have implemented something new right over here. It's a little tool called Retrieve Cabinet Defaults. Most of you are familiar with this box here with all the various parameters, and if you watched one of the other videos we have, you could see that once you've changed all these parameters, you can use these two tools down here. This one would allow you to save the current state of the parameters to a file, and this tool here would allow you to load those parameters back in. You can see I've got 4 different sets of parameters here that I've made in this kitchen here and saved off, and this kind of allows you to restore the parameters very easily so that you can redraw a cabinet like you've done in the past. That's very useful, but what you might find as you start using this software more and more is that you create a lot of different cabinet construction styles. And you might save off those parameters, but then you might make a change to the parameters and tweak them and redraw a cabinet and forget that you did that. And so when you reload the file, using this tool, you get a set of parameters that might be slightly different than what you had before. So this is a great tool, but we've done something even better. Now, every one of these cabinets, every component in every one of these cabinets has the parameters saved with the cabinet and the components of the cabinet that were set when the cabinet was drawn. So in other words, whatever parameters were set at that moment that that cabinet was drawn, those will be saved off with the cabinet. So you could have every single cabinet in your kitchen be a different construction style or a different combination of parameters, and those parameters would be saved with the cabinet. So what this new tool does here, the Retrieve Cabinet Defaults, is it allows me to click on a cabinet and pull the defaults back out and populate the parameter settings box. So you can see in this, for example, in this kitchen here, these sets of cabinets here are sort of a hybrid frameless. They've got a style here on the end for the end panel, but notice there's no rails or stiles in this area. Same with these upper cabinets. There's no upper and lower rails or center stiles. There is a style here on the end, but if you look on this side of the kitchen, these upper cabinets, there's a center style, upper and lower rails, side stiles, and on the lowers, we have a full face frame. And then, of course, the refrigerator cabinet has some slightly different parameters itself. So what I want to show you here is, for example, it's been a few days since I worked on this, and I'm not positive if my parameters that I saved off fully reflect the way I drew these cabinets. So if we look in our box right now, we see we're set for face frame, and you can see all of our face frame parts are turned on. My base cabinet's set to 36-inch height and so on. But let's say I wanted to start drawing these frameless upper cabinets over here. Right here, I want to draw another set. Now, what's really nice about this is every single cabinet you've ever drawn in any file on any kitchen now can become your library. I could go to another file altogether and pull a cabinet, copy that cabinet, and paste it into this drawing, and I could pull the parameters out of that. Or, in this particular case, I can just click on one part of this cabinet and hit the Retrieve Cabinet Defaults icon, and now we notice that we are set to a frameless cabinet style. And if I go to face frame and look here, I can see that I only have a few stiles and rails that are turned on for my uppers that reflect the way this cabinet was drawn. So this is pretty powerful. This allows me to now quickly start drawing cabinets in this style. So let's draw these uppers over here, and I'm going to just make this a left end panel, and then over here I'm going to make this a right end panel, and then hit the command key. I'm on the Mac, and I'm going to just make this a standard upper with 2 doors. And you can see there is no upper or lower rail, so it's drawn in the same style as this cabinet. Now I want to go over here and I want to draw this lower cabinet in. And this is going to be a full face frame style. So I'm going to just click on this cabinet and say retrieve cabinet defaults. And notice now we're back to a face frame cabinet with all these turned on. All my face frame and door opening settings set to what this cabinet was. So now I can quickly draw another set of cabinets here. So I'm going to start right here, and this is going to be a right end blind cabinet style. And this one, because there's going to be a stove to the left of this cabinet, is going to be a left end opening. And then I'm going to put a connector style right here in the center. Not quite in the center. And we'll draw this cabinet. So this, again, is going to be a blind corner base cabinet with 1 door. And this box is going to be, we'll just make this a drawer bank base with 3 drawers. And you can see we got the same exact style that we had over here. Now, there's some other power to this tool as well. Notice this cabinet's already drawn here, and I neglected to make this cabinet a blind corner cabinet. I made a blind corner style here, but forgot to do it for the cabinet. I really want this to extend in here. So what I can do is, regardless of what my settings are set for at this point, for example, let me just go reload my frameless settings in here. So we're set to frameless right now, but this is a face frame cabinet over here. So I can still go to the CabWriter. If I right click on a portion of this cabinet, go to CabWriter, Edit Cabinet, it's going to ask me a question. Do I want to use the cabinet's stored defaults, or do I want to use the current defaults? So in this case, the current defaults are set for frameless. I want it to just simply redraw this cabinet with a different cabinet designation here. So I'm going to have it use the stored defaults. So it uses the defaults that were stored with this cabinet, so I don't have to go repopulate them or do anything. Now it's just going to ask me, what do I want to make this box? And instead of a standard upper, I'm going to make it a blind corner upper. I'm going to go back to 2 doors. I'm going to leave this one as it is, a standard upper. It pre-populates what it was. And notice it made the change in the same style that it was. Now let's say that I wanted to change the style of this cabinet a little bit. Maybe let's not have a mid style anymore. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go reload these parameters. So I'm back to face frame. But if I go over here, what I'm going to do is, actually, we're going to change this to a frameless project. I'm going to turn all this stuff back on again. I don't really have to do this for the lower cabinets, but I do have to do it for the upper. So I'm going to turn everything on except for the connector style. Sorry, I'm going to turn the connector style off. All right. So let's see what we get. Now, what I can do is go to, say, CabWriter, redraw selected cabinets. And it's going to ask me a question. Do I want to use the stored defaults or not? In this case, I changed the defaults. So I don't want to use the stored defaults. So I'm going to say no. and it redrew the cabinet, missing the connector style, but it's also missing this style over here. And that's because I used something called a filler style that is new in this version. And if you'll notice, nothing was filled in for the filler style for width. So I'm going to call that 1.5 inches. I'm going to turn that back on and see what we get. So again, I'm going to go to CabWriter, redraw selected cabinets, not use the stored defaults. Oh, I know why it's not drawing. It's because that was actually a connector style, because I'm going to draw another cabinet over here that connects to that later. So it is doing the right thing here. If we want to turn that connector style back on again, and by closing the box it stores those. Again, I can go back and do CabWriter, redraw selected cabinets, and not use the stored defaults. And I'm back to where I was. So that's pretty powerful. Again, if I wanted to go to another file and pull in a cabinet that was made with this version of CabWriter, and I just paste it in here somewhere, grab a piece of it, and use this tool over here, then I would be able to pull in those cabinets from or pull in that cabinet style from the other file. This makes every single file I've ever done essentially a library that I can always draw from. If I did something unique in there, I can pull those settings back in. If I want to go over to this refrigerator cabinet and work on that, I can load that up, and you'll notice that now I've got a cabinet height up here of 21 inches, the cabinet depth of 26 inches, and so on. So if I wanted to go draw another refrigerator cabinet, I could do that, or I could pull that into another file, pull the parameters out, and use that. So very powerful. So we're calling it like cabinet DNA. The DNA always follows the cabinet around, so that you don't have to remember exactly what you did when you built that cabinet. And unfortunately, this version of CabWriter 0.8.9 is not backwards compatible with any previous versions because of all this new information that we're storing with the cabinets. So if you were working on an old file, you need to load or keep the old CabWriter version loaded. But if you're working on a brand new design, you should use this new version, and everything moving forward from this will be compatible with this version. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the new feature.